Hello and welcome to our webinar today. We are talking about the commissioning of blueplanet NX series for the residential area. My name is Jascha Stegmeier. I'm from KACO New Energy in system support from the service department. Here you can see our table of content for today. First of all, we are talking about the NX3 inverter components and have a quick overview of these devices up to 20 kVA. After that, we are looking about the product variants. We will have a look on the mounting and installation. This is a big part of this training today. After that, we are looking at the functionality status LEDs. We will make the commissioning of the device with the KACO NX Setup app. After that, we have a look how to register your inverter at the blueplanet web. And I've got you a few useful links where you can find interesting information about our inverters. Okay, here we can see the NX3 inverter components for the blueplanet 3.0 NX3 to 5.0 NX3. Generally, the overview for these inverters is almost the same. The big difference we can see on the left side. Here you can see we have 2 MPP trackers for these inverters and 1 string per tracker. The tracker data, we have 2 times 16 amperes input current and 2 times 25 ampere ISC max. This is the maximum shortcut current. Here we can see the intermediate circuit. Maybe it's interesting to know for 3-phase inverter, the intermediate voltage has to be at least 600 volts. If you don't have this voltage, we can't make a good sinus. So at the start, we have 2 DC-DC converters. Here you can see the inverter, AC filter. After that, you can see 2 AC grid relays. And at the end, there is a EMC filter and an AC outlet. How I said before, here we can see the bigger inverters up to 10 kilowatts. This is almost the same. Just here, we have a few differences. We have, again, 2 MPP trackers and 1 string per tracker. But at the data, we can see 1 tracker is bigger. We have, again, 1 16 ampere MPP tracker, but also a 20 ampere MPP tracker and 30 ampere ISC max. Yes. The rest is here almost the same. For the 15 kilowatts inverters, we can see again 2 MPP trackers, but now we have 2 and 1 string per tracker. This means 1 MPP tracker has 2 string inputs. Here we can see the MPP data again. 1 tracker is now really big with 32 amperes input current, and again we have 120 ampere input current. And this is the last picture for the blueplanet 20 NX3. Here we have again 2 MPP trackers, but at all trackers 2 strings per tracker. And we have 2 times the biggest MPP tracker with 32 amperes input current. Now we have a look on the data sheets. Here we've got the data sheet of the NX1 inverters too. What we can see here, we have a very low startup voltage that enables only short strings. We have also 2 MPP trackers here. The NX1 inverters has only 1 phase because of that, NX1. And the communication is only possible via the KACO NX setup app. So now we can see the smallest NX3 inverters, 3 to 5 kilowatts. Generally, we can also have a look on the operation voltage. Here we can see the starting voltage is very small again, but yeah, we have a bigger MPP maximum voltage. So we can see 2 MPP trackers. We saw this before in the picture. We can see 3-phase inverter, and the configuration is only possible with the KACO NX setup app. These are the other NX3 inverters. Again, we have a very low startup voltage. We have 2 MPP trackers, 3-phase inverter, and the configuration is only possible with the app. What's maybe also interesting, all NX inverters below 15 kVA are equipped with passive cooling. That means we have no fans. The 15.0 NX inverter has only one inside fan, and the bigger inverters have inside and outside fans. So they are active cooled. So now we're here at point 3, mounting and installation. First of all, I've brought you the scope of delivery of all NX inverters. Here we have the NX1. We can see we have first of all the inverter, we have a wall mounting bracket, we have a mounting accessory kit that includes wall anchors and hexagon bolts. We have DC connectors that are 2 pairs at the NX1 inverter. We have an AC plug connector, a Wi-Fi stick, what is important for the commissioning part. We will see this later. And we have a documentation. Here we can see the scope of delivery for the NX3 inverters up to 20 kVA. We can see again inverter, wall mounting bracket, and mounting accessory kit. But what's a little bit different, we have here different amounts of DC connectors. That's because we have different amounts of DC inputs at the inverters. So for example, for the inverters up to 10 kilowatts, we have only 2 pairs. The 50 kilowatt inverter has 3 pairs, and the biggest one, the 20 kilowatt inverter, has 4 pairs. We have again an AC plug connector, the Wi-Fi stick, and the documentation. At the NX3 inverters, we have additional the RS485 terminals. Here, 2 pieces. This is the scope of delivery for the biggest ones, for the 25 to 33 NX3 inverters. This is again almost the same. What's different, we have here 6 pairs of DC connectors, and again 2 RS485 terminals. So here we can see what's important if you're looking for the perfect installation location. Generally, we should look that the inverter has no direct contact to the sun, to rain, or to snow, and we don't should install the inverter direct on the roof or on the ground. Generally, the devices has a IP65 certification, but nevertheless, yeah, we should not expose the inverters to direct weather conditions if possible. Especially sunlight should be avoided because we have a risk of overheating in this case. Okay, it's also important to check the minimum distances, because if you don't use it, the inverter can overheat again. Here we can see the minimum distances are the same for the NX1 and the smaller NX3 inverters. The bigger ones, the 25 to 33 NX3 inverters, has also 500 millimeters on the sides. That's because the fans are installed on the sides of the inverter. Here we can see how to mount NX1 inverter. This is generally really easy. You just have to mount the mounting plate on the wall, and after that we can just hang up the inverter. The NX1 inverter is really a lightweight with just 11 kilograms, so it's no problem to install it with one person. What's also important to know, we have a screw on the side of the inverter on both sides. With that, we can make a really good connection to the wall, and the inverter is safe. This is the same picture for the smaller NX3 inverters up to 20 kilowatts. It's again a really lightweight, up to 18 kilograms. Really easy to install with one person. Here we have a little bit other mounting bracket, but the system is almost the same. You just have to mount the bracket, and after that we can just hang up the inverter and make a good connection with the M4 screws here also on both sides. This is the picture for the biggest NX3 inverters up to 33 NX3. We can see the bracket is here really big, but again, we just have to mount the bracket, and after that we can hang up the inverter and save the inverter with the M4 screws. Okay, now we can have a look on the connection area. This is the picture for the NX1 inverters. We can see all of these inverters has an integrated DC switch. On the right side here, point B, you can see the DC connectors. We have only one input per MPP tracker at the NX1s. After that, we can see the Wi-Fi stick connection, point C. Then we can see the housing grounding, and on the right side, we have the AC connection socket. This is only a plug connection. Okay, I brought you an installation video for the NX1. I would look this together with you. So here we can see the connection area of the NX3 inverters up to 20 kilowatts. We can see again we have a DC switch on the left side. Here point B, again the DC inputs. We can see we have here 4 DC inputs and the outside lifter. So we know this one is a 20.0 NX3 inverter for your information. Point C is the RS485 connection. This is realized with 2 IJ45 inputs. Point D is a USB connection. This is for the Wi-Fi stick. Point E is the AC connection again, and on the completely right side, you can see the house grounding. We have also a video for the smaller NX3 inverters. I would start this again. Okay, now we can go back to the presentation again. This is the last connection area I've brought you for today. This is for the biggest NX3 inverters up to 33 kilowatts. We can see the buildup is already almost the same. We have a DC switch on the left side. we have the DC inputs on the right. We have two RS485 connections again with RJ45. We have a USB connection for the Wi-Fi stick, and we have the AC connection socket for the connection to the grid. On the completely right side, we have again the housing grounding. We have also a video for the biggest NX3 inverters, so we will show this again. Back to our presentation again. We can see now the Wi-Fi stick. We have differences between the Wi-Fi stick of the NX1 and NX3 inverters, but the Wi-Fi stick for all NX3 inverters is the same. We can see here for the NX1, we have a 4-pole plug connection. A reverse polarity is not possible because we have a small rabbit here on the top of the inverter. On the inverter, there's printed a QR code. This is required to connect the inverter to the KACO NX setup app later. What's important to know, you only have to turn the union nut, not the whole Wi-Fi stick. If you turn on the completely Wi-Fi stick, it's possible that you make damage in the inverter and break internal cables. Here we can see the Wi-Fi stick for the NX3 inverters. It's almost the same, but we have now a USB plug connection. It's again fastened with the union nut and has also a QR code on the Wi-Fi stick. Again, please only rotate the union nut, not the whole Wi-Fi stick. Here we can see the functionality status LEDs. Here, for example, the NX1 inverter, we can see we have 3 big LEDs. The first one is a green LED. This is the bar on the top. This is a dynamic LED for the AC power. So if you don't have any feed-in, the LED is off. If you have a feed-in under 45% of the AC power of the inverter, the LED will flash really slow. If you have less than 90%, the LED will flash very quickly. And if you have a feed-in more than 19%, your LED is permanently on. The LED B is the communication LED. This is a blue one, and it flashes if you have a communication with other devices, for example, with a data logger. The right LED is a red LED. This shows if you have an arrow and the inverter can't feed in. So if this one is on, you have to check what's the problem in the app. You will see, okay, we have error code, for example, 55. And after that, it's also displayed what's the problem, for example, a grid issue. Here we can see the display for the NX3 inverters. It's almost the same design, but we have no dynamic LED anymore. We have only the LED A, the solar LED display. This displays only that there is PV power. So if you have a feed-in, the LED is on. If you have no feed-in, the LED is off. We have again a communication LED. Here it's not blue anymore, but white. And shows again if we have a communication at the moment with other devices. The red LED is here integrated in this black area, so we can't see it if it's not on. But if it's on, we can see here a red point. If this LED is on, again, please check the app. What is the problem? And after that, you can maybe check the menu and find the issue. Or if not, you can contact our customer service. Now we can start with the commissioning part. How I said before, this is only possible with the app KACO NX Setup. You can find this on the Play Store if you are using an Android smartphone, and on the App Store if you're using an Apple smartphone. This app is for free. Yes, it's required in any case for the commissioning of the NX inverters. I've brought you a video and would say something to the commissioning. We will do the commissioning from the beginning with the KACO NX Setup app. Here we are on the Google Play Store. We can see the KACO NX Setup app. If we have here a look on about this app and the information, we can see the current version is 1.07. So it's really important to use the current version because we made many bug fixes and a few changes in language. So now we can see it, the installation is done. And now we are, the app is asking for some permissions. If you have allowed them, we can see here the first menu. We have here directly on the top you can change the language. At the moment, you can only choose German or English. On the bottom, we can see we have operation mode and commissioning. For our first commissioning, we will use commissioning. Ask again for the permission for the camera. And now we have to scan the QR code on the Wi-Fi stick. This is for the connection to the Wi-Fi of the Wi-Fi stick. We can see here my mobile asks to connect to this Wi-Fi. For your information, this code B32 is the serial number not of the inverter, but of the Wi-Fi stick. This is also printed on the Wi-Fi stick, so it's clear with which device you want to connect. So now we made a connection to the Wi-Fi stick, and we can see this is the next menu. Here we have two options. We can choose continue with inverter hotspot. If we do this, we are directly in the main menu of the app. But I think if you have a good connection to a local Wi-Fi and you have the access data, this is the better option, because if you're using local Wi-Fi and connect the inverter with this, you can use later, for example, our cloud solution, blueplanet web, and you can reach the app or the inverter with the app if you are only in range of the Wi-Fi. If you're only using the inverter hotspot, you have to stay directly before the inverter if you want to have access to it. If you're using the inverter hotspot, you will also have to do the commissioning part. So you need to scan the QR code in every case. If you're using connect to local Wi-Fi, we can do it later only with the local mode. This is pretty much easier, but we can see this later. Okay, so in my case, I have a good connection to the customer Wi-Fi. So I click on select network, and now we can see all possible networks. I'm choosing the right one and type in the password. And after that, I will click on confirm. And now the app make a connection check to the Wi-Fi. At 50%, it asked me to connect the app to the customer Wi-Fi. I will do this. The whole connection process can take up to maybe 1 or 2 minutes. This is a completely normal process. So now the connection is successful, and we can go to the main menu. So the first important point is select inverter. Here we have a list of all inverters that are connected to this Wi-Fi stick. At the moment, it's not possible, but in future, we have plans to connect up to 5 inverters to one Wi-Fi stick. In this case, you will see not only one inverter, but a real list with up to 5 inverters. Yes, in my case, we have only this one, so we have to click on it. And there we can see, here we have the parameter setup. It's really important to know at the first time we can read the parameters without a password, but if you change anything and confirm it, you will need the password at the next time. We have no general password for this, so if you need this, you have to call our help desk. It's a serial number based password, so it's not the same for every inverters. For this inverter, I already know the password, and we reached before the parameters, so we will need this password. And here we can see, okay, we can change the country or grid code. This is the first step. At a new inverter, we don't have any grid codes before. Okay, we can see, in my case, I will choose Germany and press confirm, and the parameter set successful, so everything is good. Now after that, we can hear that the inverter makes a self-test, so everything worked. What's also interesting is the function activate and deactivate functions. Here we can see what's maybe interesting for you. If you're using the MPP trackers in parallel mode, you have to activate this option here. If you want to use active power control, for example, there is another setting here. Okay, you can see there are a lot of other settings, but they are more on pro level. So if you want to use them, I would say please check our manual, and you can see, yeah, for example, for the voltage settings, a few curves, and after that everything should be clear. What we have again here, we have a parameter import. It takes a few time to load, but after that we can see, yeah, all settings you can set in the parameter list. And if you scroll completely down, there's a button to export this list to a PDF. So maybe you have a report for your customer if this is needed. So after that, we are done with the parameter setup, and now we can check the instantaneous values and check if the inverter can work now. So we can see at the moment there is a power of 0 watts. That's because the inverter is just in the self-test status. But after a few seconds, now we can see we have a feed in, so everything should be okay. What's also interesting, you can choose here the time zone. Maybe you will say, okay, it's not important for me if there is a wrong time in the app, but if you're using the blueplanet web, the inverter will send all his data packages with this timestamp that's chosen here. It's important to know with default settings, it's chosen the UTC 0 option. So it's not connected to your local time on your smartphone or something like that. You only have to choose yeah, the correct time zone here. So I'm choosing Berlin for my option, and now we can see we have the exactly same time like on my smartphone, so everything is okay. Here we can do the firmware update. It's important to know all the firmware packages of us has three files. It has a file for the communication device. This is the Wi-Fi stick. Yes, you can only have a look. Here you can see the point local update. If you press on that, your data manager will open and you can choose the right file to upload. After that, yeah, the process will take a few minutes and then your update is done for the Wi-Fi stick. The site looks almost the same for the inverter. We have also a site to choose the right inverter. Remember, if you are connecting more inverters to one Wi-Fi stick, you will have here a real list. It's not that important if you only have one inverter. And here we have two files for the inverter, the master and safety.bin file. And again, only press on local update and upload the correct file, then the firmware update will start automatically. What's also maybe interesting, if you're using the Wi-Fi hotspot, maybe if you are not sure if your connection is that good, you can do the the first commissioning only with the Wi-Fi hotspot, and say after that, okay, now it's interesting for me to connect the inverter to the real network here. You can do it with network configuration. It's also possible if you have maybe a change of your router or something like that to change the network here. We can see this is almost the same like in the commissioning option. Here we have also an interesting point, feed-in and meter settings. It's possible to make a feed-in or set a maximum feed-in if you're using an external smart meter. We can see it on the drop-down menu on the top. These inverters are, these smart meters are possible. So we have to choose the right one and activate these two settings. And after that, you can set a maximum feed-in power. If your smart meter is connected correct, these 3 points, current feed-in power, test consumption, and total feed-in, are values from the smart meter and are displayed on the app too. What's an important point, you can see it here below. It's important to make these settings before. So what's also interesting for you, we have here 2 more points on the bottom of the side. We have restart communication device. I think this is not that interesting. With that, you keep all settings you made before. And this is more for that case that the Wi-Fi stick has a problem. And yeah, you want to reset only the Wi-Fi stick, restart the Wi-Fi stick. What is for me more interesting is reset communication device. In this case, all your settings will be resetted, but remember not the password to come in the parameters. So it's really important if you go first in the parameters, set all settings you want to set, and so you don't have to go in there again. Okay. The reset of the communication device is also important. If you don't want to use the network anymore, for example, if you tried to connect the inverter to the network, but the connection is too bad and yeah, you have always problems with that, it might be a good option to reset the Wi-Fi stick and yeah, make the commissioning again and choose use Wi-Fi stick hotspot in this case. Now we are switching to the second video. The commissioning part is already done now, and we have closed our app. In this case, we have made a connection to the local internet before. So now we can start the app, and we can see in this case, we can use the operation mode. What's important, you have to or you need a connection to the local Wi-Fi, which is already connected to the inverter to find this one. So now we can choose operation mode, and you can see the app is now looking for the inverter in this network. After a few seconds, it should find it. Yes, you can see it here. You can see we can see here the serial number of the Wi-Fi stick again. Remember, this is also yeah, printed on the Wi-Fi stick, and we can see the IP address of this Wi-Fi stick. So you can see the searching is still running, but in this case, we only have one Wi-Fi stick. Maybe in your plant, you have 3, 4, 5 inverters, all with a Wi-Fi stick. So maybe this is not the correct one. In this case, you can wait until you find the right Wi-Fi stick. Maybe you have a list in this case, but in our case, we have found the right one. So we only have to click on the display and then we are done. So we can see, we can click on the right Wi-Fi stick and now we are connected to the inverter. So you can see if you have done the connection to the local internet, it's really easy to make a connection to the inverter next time. Okay, and now in this case, we will make a reset and do this what I told you before, what I told you before. We start now the commissioning again, and in this case, we're only using the Wi-Fi hotspot, Wi-Fi stick hotspot. So in this case, we need to scan the QR code in every case, make the connection to the Wi-Fi stick. And now we're clicking on continue with inverter hotspot. So you can see this is also really easy and takes not much time. But remember, you have to scan the QR code in all cases. So if your inverter is maybe on the field, you have to go directly to the inverter. If it's installed under the roof, maybe you have to climb on the on a ladder. Please remember that. Yes. And you have to stay directly on the inverter. So you can see this is also done. And I think now you know all options in the app. Okay, we will go back to the presentation right now. The commissioning part is done yet. So this is our last big point, registration at the blueplanet web. It's free to register the inverter direct in the blueplanet web public. Here it's only important that you are choosing for the communication blueplanet NX series, not data logger or something else. After that, you have to type in the correct serial number. This is also important. And you can add a few additional information like the correct location, a name, or for example, a picture of your plant, but this is not important for the communication. Yes. Yeah, what's also important to know, if you are creating a new user, it takes a few minutes until you see the right user right on the bottom. You can see it here in this picture. Just there is my name. Maybe at the beginning there is unknown or something like this. This is completely normal and takes a few minutes, up to maybe 1 hour. Okay, now we are done for this presentation. Here I've got you a few useful links. Maybe you will need it in future. And yes, I hope with this webinar it's possible for you to install all our NX series easily. And yeah, we wish you all the best for your future installations. Thank you very much.